The Catholic Church faces a crisis of faith unlike any other in its modern history. The sexual abuse of minors by clergy and the subsequent cover-ups have shaken the very foundations of this ancient institution. This crisis has eroded the trust of many Catholics in their church's leadership. The path to restoring faith is long and arduous. It demands a fundamental shift in the church's approach. The church must embrace transparency, accountability, and justice for victims. This is a defining moment for the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church must take immediate and decisive action to address the ongoing crisis. The first priority is the safety and well-being of children. This requires a zero-tolerance policy for any form of abuse. Any credible accusation must be met with swift and decisive action. This includes removing the accused from ministry pending a thorough investigation. Transparency is paramount in these situations. The Church must be open and honest with its members and the public. This includes providing regular updates on how accusations are being handled. It also means being upfront about any past instances of abuse that are brought to light. Victims deserve compassion, support, and access to justice. The Church must provide comprehensive support services to victims of abuse. This includes counseling, legal aid, and pastoral care. The Church should also support the creation of independent reporting mechanisms. These mechanisms would allow victims to come forward without fear of retribution. These immediate actions are only the first steps on a long road to healing. They demonstrate a commitment to change and a willingness to address the past honestly. Preventing future abuse requires robust safeguards and ongoing training. Mandatory training for all clergy, staff, and volunteers is essential. These programs should cover recognizing and reporting abuse, creating safe environments for children, and understanding the impact on victims. Background checks should be mandatory for all working with children. Regular checks ensure no one with a history of abuse works with children. Clear policies and reporting procedures are crucial. Committees with child protection experts should oversee safeguarding measures. Transparency and accountability are crucial for rebuilding trust in the Catholic Church. The Church must be open and honest about its past failures in handling abuse cases. This includes releasing all relevant documents, including internal reports and correspondence related to abuse cases. An independent commission composed of lay experts with investigative authority should be established to review past cases of abuse. This commission should have the power to subpoena witnesses and documents, and its findings should be made public. Bishops and other church leaders must be held accountable for their actions, both past and present. Those who have been found to have covered up abuse or failed to protect children should be removed from their positions. The Church should establish clear lines of accountability for all clergy and staff. This includes developing clear policies and procedures for reporting abuse and ensuring that all allegations are investigated thoroughly and fairly. Section 5. The role of independent oversight. The Catholic Church must embrace independent oversight to ensure that its efforts to address the abuse crisis are effective and credible. This oversight should come from both within and outside the Church. Independent review boards, composed of lay experts in child protection, law, and therapy, should be established in each diocese. These boards would be responsible for reviewing all allegations of abuse, overseeing investigations, and making recommendations to the bishop on appropriate actions. The Church should also invite external audits by independent organizations specializing in child protection and institutional reform. These audits would provide an objective assessment of the Church's policies and practices and identify areas where further improvement is needed. The findings and recommendations of both internal review boards and external audits should be made public. This transparency will help to ensure accountability and build confidence in the Church's commitment to reform. The Church must be willing to listen to and learn from survivors of abuse. Their voices are essential in guiding the Church's efforts to create a safer environment for children and to provide healing and support to those who have been harmed. Section 6. Healing and Reconciliation, the long road to recovery. The process of healing and reconciliation for victims of abuse is long and complex. The church has a moral obligation to provide ongoing support and resources to help survivors on their journey to healing. This includes providing access to counseling, support groups, and other forms of therapeutic care. The church must also acknowledge the profound spiritual and emotional harm caused by abuse. This includes offering pastoral care that is sensitive to the needs of survivors and creating opportunities for healing and reconciliation within the church community. Sincere apologies and requests for forgiveness from both individual perpetrators and from the church as an institution are essential. These apologies must acknowledge the harm that was caused and express genuine remorse. Financial reparations to victims are an important aspect of taking responsibility for the harm that was caused. These reparations should be fair and just and should take into account the long-term impact of abuse on survivors' lives. Section 7. Fostering a culture of open dialogue. Creating a culture of open dialogue within the church is crucial for addressing the underlying issues that contributed to the abuse crisis. This requires fostering an environment where people feel safe coming forward to report abuse, share their concerns, and engage in respectful dialogue about difficult issues. Seminaries and other institutions of priestly formation must prioritize educating future priests about the issue of sexual abuse, the importance of celibacy, and the need for healthy boundaries in ministry. Open and honest discussions about sexuality, celibacy, and power dynamics within the church are essential. The church should encourage respectful dialogue and debate on issues related to sexuality, celibacy, and the role of women in the church. This dialogue should involve theologians, lay experts, and members of the clergy. It should also include the voices of women and survivors of abuse. Section 8. Empowering the laity. A collaborative approach. Addressing the abuse crisis effectively requires the active participation of the laity. Lay people possess valuable expertise in areas such as law enforcement, education, psychology, and social work. They can offer valuable insights and perspectives that can help the church develop more effective policies and procedures. The church should establish clear channels for lay involvement in all aspects of the church's response to the abuse crisis. This includes involving lay experts in investigations, serving on review boards, and providing input on policy development. Diocesan finance councils, which are composed of lay experts, should have greater oversight over church finances. This would help to ensure that funds are being used appropriately to support victims and implement safeguarding measures. Section 9. The importance of theological reflection. The sexual abuse crisis requires a profound theological reflection on the nature of the church, the priesthood, and the meaning of authority. Theologians should engage in a critical examination of church teachings and practices that may have contributed to the crisis. This reflection should address issues such as clericalism, the abuse of power, and the understanding of sexuality and celibacy within the church. It should also explore ways in which the church can promote greater accountability and transparency. The church should engage in a process of discernment and renewal, drawing on the wisdom of Scripture, tradition, and the lived experiences of the faithful. This process should involve listening to the voices of survivors, theologians, and the wider church community. Section 10. A long-term commitment to renewal. Restoring faith in the Catholic Church requires a long-term commitment to renewal and reform. This is not a task that can be accomplished overnight. It demands ongoing vigilance, a willingness to learn from past mistakes, and a steadfast dedication to creating a safer and more just church for all. The church must continue to invest in prevention and education programs, provide support to victims, and hold abusers accountable. It must also remain open to new insights and approaches as our understanding of abuse and its impact continues to evolve. This journey of renewal requires the active participation of all members of the church, clergy, religious, and laity. It is a call to conversion, a summons to embrace transparency, accountability, and an unwavering commitment to the well-being of all God's children. This is not just about restoring the reputation of the church, though that is important. It is about something far more profound: It is about reclaiming the soul of the church, about living out the gospel message of love, compassion, and justice in a tangible and meaningful way. It is about creating a church that is truly a beacon of hope and healing for a wounded world.